we could have the chance to talk after the intervention of Alessandro and Yana about also your talk. So we are now starting the 12th seminar curated by Yana Wang, and we had two guest speakers. The first one is Alessandro Bertirotti from University of Genova, and the other one is a PhD student from Zuzuli, Yingrui Cri. I'm not sure he's connected now. Also, Wang, please switch on your camera. I can see you.
Maybe something wrong with his connection. Yana Wang, she registered again.
Okay, now I can see.
Okay, Yana.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah. We see Yana.
Yeah, we are the same name. It sounds very similar.
Switch on the microphone.
Hi. I'm Yana.
Okay.
One name is so similar, but it's not the
same. And your Chinese guest speaker is here.
Sorry, I will turn up my voice. Can you see again?
Your guest speaker is here.
Yeah, my speaker is here.
I cannot see him.
And maybe I will.
Okay. So, Alessandro, you can start. Thank you for being here.
It's no problem. So we can discuss together about the lazy species, because we are a lazy species, and this word signifies something, because our mind is a product of our brain, and we can discuss with you about brain, mind, and emotion. So, origin of laziness. Our historical period is a very interesting period, of course, because we are doing a very particular experience, like species in the world, like species during this lockdown. So, in our history, as a human species, as a human community, the time passing has been interesting and problematic in every species in the world, in every time, in the past, in the present, and the future, probably. Therefore, even for us, the current massive presence of technology brings positive and negative aspects in generally in our daily life, of course. The evolution of our species takes place in a constant and in a discontinuous way, because the only coherence that we can talk about is that we are coherence in the continuity of changing. The changing is a very important thing in our species, and it's important to have a new idea, because we have another kind of mind during our daily life. Because it's true that every day in the morning we have the same actions, man. Every day and day by day we have another kind of actions that are similar to the past, but it's not the exactly equal. So we are always focused on innovation and on invention for a new and better things. They are important characteristics, like a human being, is that we live to learn. we live to improve our knowledge. There is a very important theory in the half past last century that it's named evolutionary epistemology by Karl Raimund Popper and Konrad Lorenz. They say that we live to improve our knowledge. And there is another researcher in Italian academic university, Eduardo Boncinelli, that says that our mind is a continuous occasion and research, continuous occasions to change our opinion. And it's very important to remember that we live for this reason. So humanity responds to a constant challenge that originates from reality, from the world, to optimize its efforts to the advantage of laziness and show. So even for us, the current massive presence of technology, like I said, is positive and negative. So the meaning of aliveness in this context, from an evolutionary point of view, our species has the most powerful brain, and this characteristic has provoked a series of continuous inventions. During our evolution, we had, at the first time of this evolution, a smaller brain, around 700 grams, and now we have 1 kilo and 45 grams of neurons inside our brain. No, so we can think in another way, in a better way, because we have many neurons that are linked inside our brain, and so it's a new vision when we discover that when I say that I am intelligent man, I am intelligent man, you are intelligent people, because we have a sufficient number of neurons that are linked in their communication. So the intelligence is a lack of a connection in quantity, not only in quality. So it's important that the designer thinks that in the future we have to create new connections with many kinds of disciplines. For a good designers, in my opinion, it's important to have more and more stimulus from many disciplines, not only about the projects or architectural point of view, but by philosophy, by history, by geography, by social science. As many of these inventions as possible are useful in minimizing human effort. It's very important that we live to minimize our effort. We invented boats, cars, robots, computers, audiobooks, telephones, radios, televisions. Because if we have time to think about our mind, about the why we are living in this world, we have the possibility to imagine a future in a new kind, because if I have to work every day, of course, my mind is inside of this walking. If I have the time to think in another situation with my imagination, like fantasy and science, my mind is more creative. So, this invention and language form a complex system of culture. So, inventions and language constructing our culture in different ethnic expressions, of course, and in every part of the world. It's true that there are other animals like us use forms of language and tools, as you know, such as chimpanzees. But only human beings create a complex system in order that they don't have to do many actions themselves. So, the invention is important because with the device and with the technologies, human being can do another thing in the same time when robots, computer, do another things to a survival. But only human, so being create a complex system. In order they don't have too many actions themselves. In these terms, we mean to refer to the concept of the liceness. In this concept, we have to discover the role of liceness, precisely because it represents a useful adaptive characteristics of our mind. Every living being maintain a balance between the energy and it assimilates and the energy it spends, because it's important to have a positive relationship with our benefit and our primary costs. In our life, we have a balance with the costs of our thinking, of our imagination, of our creative project, and the results that we'll have in the future about from these costs. So the relationship between costs and benefits is very important in anthropological point of view. The best solution is precisely liceness, thanks to which man finds time to invent those instruments that perform actions on his behalf. This is the reality, and this is the idea about the liceness. Therefore, we can say that liceness is, in the human race, the basis of the behavioral strategy that we define as efficiency. So, when we can use laziness to have more efficiency, more efficiency, this is the occasion to improve our daily life behavior. There is another important difference between us and the monkey. We always look for new ways to become more efficient, while the monkeys would have been satisfied with enough invention to do nothing. So we create invention, a technology, because it's more important for our species that kind of invention can remain after our death. We live to live our technology after deathing. It's very important that the project by designers can remain after the death of a designer, after this period, because the continuity of the project can be the occasion to modify past projects in a new project, because the creative is has a base in the tradition, in the past. We cannot be creative men without past, because we can change our idea if we have a basis of the past ideas. We don't just want to survive, we want to build machines that offer more time and resources. So, evolution of our species has been possible when we discovered solidarity inside a group in order to improve survival's possibility. So, I think that in this period of pandemic era, we can live a new situation in our mind, and we have to select with awareness that the only possibility to have a new project with the technology is to be and to feel in solidarity. Without solidarity, it's impossible to have, in my opinion, like anthropology of mind, to have a common evolution in our world. And actually, we haven't just selected solidarity. We have to do in the future. Actually, we haven't a real solidarity. We were born in group. We have to say that we are double during 9 months with our mothers, of course. And this kind of wonderful affective situation will remain in our mind for all time of life. We haven't we must remember that our life, our birth in reality is inside the body of our mother. Then when we have in reality with the sun, with the wind, in our world is a second birth, because our first birth is inside the body of another person. It's named when we are in that situation. It's named affective saturation, because in this environment we have all that we need. And it will be on the basis of our project as persons and person that can love life in general. If the life will create occasions to discover this attitude, our social behavior can improve when we are in group and can mitigate competitive one. So in the future, the reality will be the relationship with solidarity and competitive. In economic point of view, but in a social point of view, that is more important, in my opinion. So, is it possible, if you know as a designer project is, how emotions function to drive our behavior? What's emotion? Emotion is difficult to define, of course, but always consists of feeling, behavior, physiological change, and cognitions, and always occurs in a particular context which influences it. We are emotions. Our thinking is emotional thinking. It's impossible to think, to have awareness, to stay at lessons, to have a contact with other persons without emotions, because emotions drives our occasion to meet other persons. Its major function is to give information to the individual and group about their interaction with the world. So it's important from anthropological of mind point of view, because it drives our evolution, our mentality, and our world's vision. Every group, every human group, every ethnic group has a personal world's vision, because it's important to have a solidarity and to co-participate, to have a match with my opinion about the world and the opinion about the world that I have in society. And there is another important difference in social science between society and community. Community is another thing respect of society, is more inclusive community than society. So when I go to the supermarket, I have a socialization. But if I have a talk, if I have the possibility to talk about a designer like this moment, we aren't in society. We are in community of projectors, of designers, of persons that think in the future in the same way and a different way, because we are, for some part of our life, similar, and another part of our life, of course, different. And the creativity of our relationship as human being is inside these two possibilities, to be sometimes equal, to be sometimes similar, and to be in another situation different. And the confusion of this kind of mind situation can generate new idea. We have a Robert Platik's well of emotions that is very important to understand how is the functioning of our emotion. Basic emotion we have on the I don't remember what you say, the opposite of the right. What do you say? The opposite of the right. Can you help me? No.
Okay, we have basic emotion.
Basic emotion. The opposite of the right in your screen
Is in the left. Basic emotion.
Oh,
left. The left.
Pardon. Okay. I didn't remember the opposite of the right. Okay. On the left, in your skin, you have a basic emotion that in another test you can find like a primary emotion. Is the same. Joy and the basic opposite, sadness, trust, disgust, fear, anger, surprise. Surprise is the most important our emotion, because it's the first in our evolution. Because I am surprised to be angry. I am surprised to be sadness. I am surprised to be disgusting in situation. So the surprise is very important. It's like a child expresses his or her own surprise with this sound. Oh, ah, the sky, ah, the fishes. So surprise, it's very important to have a good relationship with other emotion. So we have sadness and joy, that disgust, trust, anger, the opposite basic opposite, fear. Then we have anticipation, that is the opposite of surprise. Sometimes we can use, and maybe that primary basic emotion is more important than opposite emotion. But important to remember that emotions are like signals, like alert. So it's true that in our physiological situation, when we talk about emotion, we talk about arousal. But we can say about that more. You can see the wheel of emotion from Platic's theory. It's very important because we can have our emotion in the center of this circle, and so when you go to in the space from center to far to the center, from the center, we can have another kind of emotion that is a combinated with the primary and with the secondary emotion. So we can discuss about the combination of this emotion in our behavior. Optimism is composed by and anticipation and plus joys, and the opposite is disappointment. Love, joy plus trust, and the opposite, remorse. Submission, trust plus fear, contempt. Or fear plus surprise, aggressiveness, the opposite, advanced opposite. Disappointment is composed by surprise plus sadness, and the result, optimism. Remorse, sadness plus disgust, and the opposite is love. Contempt is formed for disgust plus anger, so you have submission. Aggressiveness is formed by anger plus anticipation, and is awe. What are the social, culturally constructed, and self-conscious? The social, constructing, and self-conscious or self-referent emotions are pride, shyness, embarrassment, guilt, and shame. Some theory says that this kind of emotions are from the education from the father, from the man. In other tests of neuroscience, you can find that this kind of emotion is not a capacity from the man education, but also are present in a women education. This kind of theory you can write in the very interesting book that now I bring for you, by Cordelia Fine, in English language the title, the original title is The Illusion of Gender, How Our Minds, Society, and Neurosexism Create Difference. In Italian language, this is the test. In this test, these psychologists and neuroscience research says that there is any difference in our mind if we are men or we are women. But there is another very important test that say the opposite theory. This is a book by a neuropsychiatric doctor that is teacher in USA, Luan Bransdine, that wrote two books. The first with the original title is The Female Brain, and another book in Italian language, Il cervello dei maschi, in English language, The Male Brain, of course. Luan Bransdine says that there is a very important difference if we have a brain female and if we have a male brain. Cordelia Fine, because is the school from behavioral science and interpretation of the world, says and think in opposite way. But it's important for designer to discover that there is a big discussion about eventually difference if we are a female designer or if we are a male designer. In my opinion, I think that there is a little bit of thinking of way to concept the designer if I am male or female. Some of this emotion about the social emotion that we have after the third birth of age, after the third, some of these emotions, as well as giving information to individual, also function as mechanism of social cultural control. Is there any difference, so, between man and woman in emotion, like I said before? Cordelia Fine believes that it's very important stereotypes. The stereotypes concerning the difference between men and women in emotion in Western society are actually partly borne out. Women are encouraged to express emotion more than men, to be more responsible for its control, both in themselves and others, because we have a kind of this education in our primary school, in our high school, in our society, in the Western society. We have a kind of education that believe that there is a difference in about the controlling of emotion if you are male, if you are female. Other research, like I said, you about Luan Brainstein, other research demonstrate women have a biological and evolutive capacity about emotions. Can emotions be wrong? No, absolutely. Emotion cannot be emotional. All of our emotions are right. It may be that your expression of a particular emotion might be inappropriate in the context. This is another thing. The emotion is very important for our mind, and we cannot have a productive thinking without emotion. There is a problem. There are some problems if all of our emotions are expressed with more freedom, without control in the society. It might not be regarded as seamless, for example, to give open vent to our sadness at meeting for too long over the death of our dog, of your dog, of course. It's not possible. But the experience of such sadness or grief is simply the experience that we have. And you can give it due attention only because emotions begin and stop following their course. It's impossible to stop the course of emotion during their own course. The emotion begin and will finish, and it's important to have a good management of our emotion, but it's impossible to control emotions. We can manage our emotion, but it's impossible to control. What is the relation of emotion and physiological arousal? Is like alert arousal, as you know. Physiological arousal is thought to be, but has not been proved to be, a necessary aspect of emotion. We have a very different research about this topic, and we aren't sure about the role of arousal during emotion. Arousal like physiological arousal. Both the autonomic and the central nervous systems are implicated in emotion. We are central, we have evidence, scientific evidences that this kind of our systems are in our mind when we have emotion. What's the relation of emotion and cognition? I said before to you that it's impossible to have thinking without emotion, and I repeat the same concept. Because like you see in the finish, in the last part of the slide, our brain function is 50% emotion in the limbic zone of our brain. The rest of our brain is rationalization or processing, but it is only 15% of our functioning, of our brain functioning. There are intricate relationships between cognition and emotion. Some researchers believing that emotion cannot occur without cognition. I believe in this kind of theory. I think that when I have emotion, I have a kind of evaluation of the world. Because if I meet a person and during this meeting, I feel fear, I am evaluating this meeting like fear. So emotion is no reaction, is a properly action with evaluation about what's happened in a period, in a very important moment, is a like of evaluation. When I have feeling, when I have emotion, I am evaluating what's happened in my life in that moment. Cognition. What is cognition? What are the topics inside cognition? Cognition is a term referring to the mental processes involved in gain knowledge, comprehension, thinking, knowing, remembering, judging, a problem solving. This is the fundamental part of our activity when are in cognition system. There are higher level function of the brain and encompass, because important that when we have a cognition, we can have language, imagination, perception, planning. You, like designers, have a language of designer, imagination as designers, a perception of the world as designers, and you have a planning of your life as a designers. If you were musicians, our planning is in different way. If you were a sailorman, if you were other kind of scientist, our planning in the future should be different, of course, because there is a closest relationship between what I am and what I do. There is a very important relationship. And we cannot say at the state of scientific research if it's the first what I am and then what I do. Probably the same, probably when I think to be in a way, in that moment I think to be also in what I do. Cognition derives from Latin language, cogito, to think, are the contents of cognitive process. And they include the cognitive processes, attitudes, the action that I image before to have a project, our beliefs, our concepts, our expectations, and our irrational beliefs. We have a very important quote of irrational belief, and we can discover them if we have a good relationship with our history, our biography, personal biography, family biography, and social biography. What's happened in the past in our culture. And I finished. I hope that that it was clear, and if you have some questions for some minutes, I can remain. No, No, I have only 4 4 minutes.
Thank you, Alessandro, for your insightful speech. Was a perfect introduction to the specific theme of research.
Yeah.
Of
I have only one question,
Yana Wang.
Alessandro.
Okay.
Okay. The relationship with laziness and leisure. Yeah, because technology cut the use of the effort of the people. Okay.
Yes.
So we become lazy, but at the same time we can speak about creative leisure. You know.
Yes.
Nico De Masi and other people. So I think it's a very complicated. But if you can answer us this small question.
Okay. We can we could discuss about this item for many hours, of course, because it's very important, your question. I can say to you that the miracle of the difference between laziness and leisure is in the first part of this slide, attitudes. What kind of attitude you have in your mind? If you are educated to have a laziness where your mind think in a proactive way about the future, this kind of laziness is a prerequisite, pre-request, pre-demand, pre-questions to have a good imagination, a good creative. If the technology is like a substitute, is like another kind of man that think instead of you, in this way you have a leisure, and in this way we have without imagination and without reasons to do something. I don't know if I am clear.
Yes, it's okay. It's clear. It's clear.
Okay. It depends by our attitudes and our education about the occasion to think. Like in Latin culture, when we are in ozio, in riposo, no?
Yeah.
Ozio.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too.
Thank you, Alessandro. As we said, was an insightful speech and a perfect introduction, because emotion are really central in Yana Wang team of research, because she exploring how to understand, how to use emotional in design, in that kind of specific realm of human-computer interaction that is called emotional design, and
yes,
how these affect to disadvantaged group. So please, Yana Wang, can you start with your intervention and show us and to the audience your team? Thank you, Alessandro. Bye.
Just a moment. Where is my microphone?
Okay, it's on. We can hear you.
It's on. Oh, okay. If you have any questions, I can answer by email for the students. I'm sorry, but I am delayed. I have another appointment, so
Don't mind.
I remain by email for your questions. Many thanks to you all. Bye, Carlo. Bye, Luisa. Bye, Manuel. Thanks.
Bye, Alessandro. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Are you ready, Yana?
Yeah, I'm ready. Can you see?
Yes.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I will start. And hello everyone, my name is Yana, and my research is research on the product emotional interaction system and the design of the disadvantaged group. Based on the affective computing, and this is my research theme. And the next, I will tell you why I choose this research, because the emotional interaction is one of the main development trait of the human-computer interaction and the intelligent product in the future. And the emotional interaction design become more and more popular. So human beings hope the product can also have the same emotion as the human beings to communicate with the product. So the next is a small example. It's like the mirror, because this is not mirror. This is the mirror. The user is for the young women and young girls, but they know the young girls when they look the mirror, they really wanted, they really want to in their feel, in their emotion. They just don't want to unlay the mirror, because when they make up and they want to maybe like the selfie, and when you have the selfies, if you have the ring light and your selfie is like more shining, it's more brilliant, like. So if this mirror have the ring light function, if you turn on your ring light and you get the very good selfie. And we all know the young girls, maybe the table is not too much, maybe it's small, they can't put a lot of things on these tables. So these mirrors also have the reading lamps. When you want to read some things, and you can open the lamps and reading the books. And also have another functions is storage, because when you look mirrors, maybe you can put your jewelry, like the earring, necklace, and some keys for this storage. And this mirror also have the Bluetooth. You can connect with your cell phones. So this is looks more, it's not a mirror, looks like the emotional intelligent product. So it's very small, but it's very useful. And the next is for the normal people, we have a lot of emotional intelligent product, but especially for the disabled, the elderly, and the disadvantaged groups, they more need product to understand their needs, like the normal people, even more than the normal people, to improve the quality of the life and rebuild confidence. And when we on the internet, we search the intelligent product, it will be a lot of intelligent product will show out. And today we design the product, we may more care about the user feelings, user really needs. So the intelligent product is more about emotional intelligent product. And I put 6 products in this picture. We can say this 6 intelligent product is all the emotional intelligent product, but we can say have the 5 product is for the normal people. Only once is the learning robot for the children's. So maybe the intelligent product is really little concern about the disadvantaged groups. So I want to do some emotional intelligent product, more care about the disadvantaged groups, because I think they more need concern. They more need the intelligent product can help them do a lot of things. Maybe I think why the intelligent product is lies more care about the disadvantaged groups. Maybe it's because the most modern products are featured by technology and informations due to influence of the physiological, psychological, and educational levels. Disadvantaged groups have a low acceptance of the scientific and technology product, and they can't use very well as normal people, so they are more prey to frustrations. So I think this one, I think maybe I can do some things easy to work, easy to they use. And for my research, I have three important elements. The first element is the disadvantaged groups. It's my target users. It's my help users. And the next is effective computing, is my use method, how to get the disadvantaged groups emotional data, because I use effective computing. And the final is emotional interaction, because I want to do some things, rebuild the disadvantaged groups confidence. So I maybe do some more emotional interaction design product, and build the emotional interaction system to help them. And we can see the three elements can be a circle and effect to each other. And the next is who will in the disadvantaged groups. And I searched a lot of reference, and I found the Bank AK proposal the 2006 years. And he said, facing special difficulties such as illness, aging, physical or mental disability, lack of financial or economic support, and the political weakness is include disadvantaged groups. And the next is some research and applications of the effective computing, because I will use effective computing to get the disadvantaged groups there's emotional data. So I search the JSON start listener emotion response to music, and establish the emotional model. And these people have proposal the theory of the artificial mind, and we can say this picture is he put inside the extrauma stimulations to the sensors, and they can get the mental model, and through the mental model they can get the user's memory learning habit, and get and build the demand models. And the demand models with the mental models, they can do some mood or behavior controllers and output like the product or article, or some like the drama and others. And for my research is have really important two parts. One part is product emotional interaction design, because it can be make a service system real-time perception of the user emotion and make intelligent feedback, so provide the user need service. And the next is I always mention in these presentations is the method of the effective computing, computing because it's based on the characters of the cognitive and emotional needs of disadvantaged groups. Because if you do this, you can improve the quality of the life and rebuild the disadvantaged group's confidence. And this is my methodology. Is I use effective computing. Why I choose this method? Because I searched a lot of reference and I found effective computing is related to the emotion. For example, how to use electrodermal technology, electroencephalogram, wearable device sensor network camera get the emotional data through the facial expression recognition, skin and sympathetic nervous system. Stress response analysis, people inner feeling, emotion, calculations, and understand of the emotion. And effective computing provide a scientifically quantified method of the emotion cognitions and emotion modeling. With the development of the effective computing technology, a more natural, vivid, and harmonious interaction mode can be realized between human, machine, and the environment. I think this is very important because human machine environment is inside. And the next is my flow diagram. And I will first use the voice, image, posture, and other sensors put on the disadvantaged groups, and through the sensor get the data and processing, and then feature extraction and selection, which data is used for which data maybe is not important for my research, and then effective recognitions method use, and build effective modeling, and in the end I will get emotional recognitions. And I will use the emotional recognitions to get the emotional interaction. Emotional interaction, maybe in my research, I apart 3 systems. First system is perception system, and next system is the cognitive system, and the last system is motor system. And in the end, maybe I will get emotional interaction product design, and the later maybe I will get the build the emotional interaction system. And this is some example about emotional intelligent design for the disadvantaged groups. And this is the Microsoft research, the development sign language translation system based on the Kinect technology. We can see this picture. These people is use the sign language and to communicate with the normal people, but normal people don't know the sign language, and we can through the Kinect analyze the sign language and provide the scientific basis for the intelligent product development. And this example is the glove. This product can help people with the hearing and speech impairment, barrier free communication with the normal people. And there also have some design competitions for the disadvantaged groups in the world. And in the right is the design marathons in China. It's continue hold 4 years, and I think it's very interesting because this the competition theme is a better internet experience for the elderly, and they have the competition will have the different different thing, like the elderly listening, elderly new home, elderly new ID card, elderly running. Maybe it's really, I think it's really interesting and useful. And this is an example from the design marathons. It's because this group found a lot of elderly will be lose sleep in their life, so they make product is the pillow, because when we sleep we also use the pillow. How to use the pillow to make the elderly have the good sleep, and they put some high sensitive sensors and to get the elderly data when they sleep, and also have the Wi-Fi model and to connect to your cell phone, and have the speaker, because when you lost your sleep, and this pillow can play very small and music to help you get a really good sleep. And also have the microphones, because they want to get to know your sleep situations. And the next is my research, because the first I want to get the effective scale of the disadvantaged groups. So I do the very small sample questionnaire, and in this questionnaire I have the one of the question is, please divide your life into 4 or 5 parts. What do you think and the percentage? And I also apart for my user 4 steps, and the first step person is elderly, and I interview the 35, the elderly, and the age is 61 to 72, and the second step person is children. I interviewed 30 children, 30 people, 30 children, and their age is 5 to 10 years old. And the third step, the third type is the disabled, and then I interviewed the 14, because why is so small, so is too much, so less, because I interviewed the disabled people. They don't like interview too much. They don't like tell you too much, because they don't want to. I think it's not easy to contact with them. So maybe the younger, the disadvantaged people is more easy to touch. So you can say my age is 16 to 27. Maybe the next time I will go to the disabled school to interview them. And the end of step is the patients, and the interview number is 45 people, and the age is 28 to 68. And I made a picture for these questions answers, and I ask them, in your life, you think which part is more important for your life? And we can see they told me some things, and I do like this do like this, and I will find the healthy care. Healthy care is more important for them, because every different STEM people, they also think the healthy care, because they are the disadvantaged groups. And it's a high range in this, maybe the 5 parts or 4 parts. So I think I just wondering the health care is more happen where is more happen the healthcare. I think maybe the home or hospital or your school or and so on, but it's high recent to happen in hospital. So I go to the hospital and research the hospital in China, because in China a lot of hospital is public general hospital in China. It's because most of people like to choose a large hospital in China. Even 80% of this disease can be treated in the small community hospital, but they don't go to the community hospital. They want to go to the large hospital, the large general hospital, because they think the large hospital may be more professional, the doctor may be more good. So even I have the fever, even somebody have the fever, they don't go to the community hospital. The first choice is the large hospital. And I research the public general hospital, large hospital in China, and architectures is, we can say they almost have the 3-part layout, because this is for the management, easy to management, but I think it's a little old-fashioned layout, because in today our design is become change, because in the past we design some product, we maybe more care about the appearance, function or some things, but right now we design product maybe we more focus on the users. So maybe right now modern hospitals buildings more care about the patients, but a lot of China hospitals, general large hospitals, is use a 3-part layout to build. It's one part is inpatient, and the second part is outpatients, and the next part is medical technology. It's include logistic and emergency treatment. And this is the example hospital plan graph. We can see this is in my live city is the #1 hospital. It's the #1 large hospital, even in the central region in China. It's very good hospitals. The hospital is the first affiliated hospital of the Zhengzhou University, and we can see this hospital have the 12 buildings. It's really a large, because they have 12 buildings, and they also use a 3-part layout. And we can see the orange part is inpatient department. They have the 6 inpatient buildings. It's very large. And the right we can see is the medical technology, and we can see they have the 8 buildings. It's about medical technology. It's include first aid central, is logistic buildings, and have the laboratory and the clinical medicine buildings, and so on. And the third part is the outpatient department. It's have 2 buildings, I think. And the next, I will use the emphasis map to research my target user disadvantage groups in these large hospitals, what they feelings. The first, I will decide the disadvantage groups. It's my target user, and then the next I will do what do they need to do in these large hospitals, and maybe we can get the disadvantaged group physical signal, and the next I will say what do they say in these large hospitals when they go to say the doctors, and maybe can get the expression, and the fourth part is what do they say. Maybe I can get in this hospital, maybe I can get them voice, and the next is what do they do in these hospitals, and the sixth is what do they hear in these hospitals, and I can get the posture, user posture and expression in these hospitals, and the final I want to get the what do they think and feel in these hospitals, and get the pinpoint, because I want to know what are they fear and frustration and anxious in these hospitals. And done of this, I will have the perception system. And this is my found. After this 6 steps, I found some pinpoint. The pinpoint one is we all know these hospitals have the 6 inpatient buildings, and we can see inpatient buildings number 1. We can see the detailed map, and we will find these buildings have 27 floors. It's too high, and a lot of things in here, and we can see this picture. We will find the 27th floor is not the highest, because we also have the number 2 inpatient buildings, because number 2 inpatient buildings have the 28 floors in this. And also the horrible things is these buildings have the north area and the south area, and north or south area add up will have the 46 floors on these buildings, so it's very complex. And we can see these buildings have 21 floors, but it's also the inpatient buildings. And we can see the outpatient buildings is 22 floors. If I want to go to say the skin department, say the skin doctors, I will take the elevator, go to the 10th floor, and the doctors make me maybe like the blood test, and I will go to the underground floor. It's really waste the time. So as I found the hospital pinpoint one is the building structure is so complex. And this is a pinpoint 2. We can see the picture. This is the picture show us so many people waiting for the elevator, and we can see a lot of elevator in here, but it's not working because it's also have so many people in here. And when we take the elevator, when we go to see the doctor, and we can see it's also a lot of people, because only 1 people sitting here, and a lot of people maybe have the 5 people laying up in these rooms. So it's a lot of people. Lancuni, I think, is a pinpoint 2. And this picture show us is the pinpoint 3, because when the noon is have the break, but you see the doctor is not finished, so you just wait. The afternoon, the doctor is maybe can say your desire, say you're sick, and this picture show us a father and hold sick children and sit on the ground because they don't have the place to rest. It's not because the hospital don't have the chairs. Hospital have the chairs because hospital a lot of people, we don't have the place to rest. Don't have the enough place to rest. So have this situation. I think looks this is very sad. And pinpoint 4 is too much pictures on the walls, but this pictures is really horrible because when you go to the skin department and you will see a lot of skin disease pictures on the walls, and they think you really feel uncomfortable. So too much pathological information causes the psychological discomfortable. And this is, I don't think this is good. And this is, I go to the skin department to see the doctor, and this, the orange is the timeline. I screen capture of my phone. You can see in the 11:46, and I do the determine the visit department and register, and then the second is to go to the 12:03. And I finally found the floor I want to go, and the 19 minutes, and I found the department I want to see, and the 37 minutes, I finally found the doctor, and this time I take the 51 minutes. Even I'm the normal people. I wonder think if the disabled people want to see the doctor, maybe they will take more time than me. So I think it's not really not convenient. It's have the too much information, too much guidance to get you have the lost, because the route is so long, because we all know the large hospitals have the 12 buildings, and the 12 one buildings have the more than 20 floors, so it's really complex. And this pinpoint I put in there, and we will find there's is really the building structure is complex. There's no place to rest. The guard is not clear enough, and so on. Even I'm the normal people, I think it's not good. Even the disadvantaged groups, the elderly, they can't stand a long time, maybe. They need more rest, but there's no place to rest. So I want to do some things. I want to do some, maybe the social network, end up the hospital public service, because the social network is a basic human needs. Social demand for the elderly, the disabled, and the children with the autism. And good social and communication can promote its change by the mood state. And the hospital public service, maybe it's a tour gardens, generally provided to users through the gardens or road maps. Emotional interaction products persuade diverse user scenario and potential needs through emotional recognition functions based on the multimodal interaction technology. They recommend the received contents that users are interested in, provide the guidance that maybe meets the user need and improve user experience. And I also want to add some intelligent technology like maybe the AR, and we can see this picture is the head-up displays on the car front windows. Maybe I can add to the hospital public service, to the guide map maybe. And all of this, maybe I will build some product emotional interaction system and for my research. And that's all. Thank you. Yeah, I'm done.
Thank you, Yana. Thank you for your speech. So, any questions from the audience?
Okay, Yana, thank you for your presentation. So probably you are trying to find a way to understand how to manage the disadvantaged people in a big city, probably. And
Yes.
so you started to study one of the places that we can use is a big hospital or small hospital. And probably you have to improve this kind of possibility to using also to study technology at home. And yeah, so probably this is one of the possibility if we can improve the others possibility. Okay, small hospital, home hospital, and technology to stay at home, and app to have contact with doctor. So we have to understand how many possibilities in this time we have before
Yes.
to decide what we can do. In any case, I think you have also to improve theoretical aspect of the disadvantaged people, because the story of the disadvantaged people is not born now, but we have a long traditional study that we can also see to understand if some point of before theory is useful for our research.
Yes.
Okay, and we can see another presentation, or we can also interview your I don't remember the name, and Yingrui Cri.
Yeah,
She?
the name is Yingrui Cri.
She. Okay. She. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
hi. Thank you to come.
Hi,
Okay.
Yingrui.
I'm start. I will start.
Okay.
Okay. I've tried some.
I ask you please to have a brief speech because it's quite late and we need to end the seminar in at least 20 minutes maximum, okay?
Hello, everyone. I'm honored to be here to able to participate in this exchange. My subject is the application research of HEART user experience model in the design of rural stroke rehabilitation products. I will share my work from these 5 parts hoping to bring you 30 minutes of relaxing time. First is the research background. Both urban and rural areas, the stroke have become the first cause of death in my country. It's horrible. It can be seen from this chart that the incidence, prevalence, and death rates of stroke among rural residents are higher than those of urban residents. The reason is that young people enter big cities to work, and the rural population is aging. And the next page. From the two data, it can be seen that the medical level of rural residents is far lower than that of urban residents, and the medical level of rural residents needs to be improved. From this chart, stroke seems to prefer male. The prevalence rate of male is higher than that of female, and the older they are, the more dangerous they are. The average age is 66.4 years old. In recent years, there is a trend of getting younger, so I started training myself to run in the morning. The second part is the research status. The first is the study of stroke disease. The patient has a rapid onset. We must send the patient to the hospital within 8 minutes. This is a race against death. If human lose, the patient may be disabled for life. This is a common scenario disease with high mortality, high disability rate, high recurrency rate, long recovery period, psychological fragility, depression, etc. In rural areas, because the hospital is far away, it is inconvenient to seek medical treatment, and rehabilitation training is boring. It's difficult for patients to persist in training. Fortunately, there are more and more rehabilitation medical and health institutions in China. Rehabilitation medicine has been developed in China since the 1980s. In 2014, the State Council document number 46 also issued instructions. Okay. My country is paying more and more attention to this aspect. Rehabilitation medicine in my country has complete assessment, training, and nursing service, serving institutions and communities as a rehabilitation group, helping patients regain their physical abilities and return to society. This is the rehabilitation policy formulated by the Chinese government for rural areas, and the leaders are paying more and more attention to rural residents. From 1949 to the present, medical device research has been led by the United States, Japan, taking Motomed from German Rag Company as an example board. It does a good job of human-computer interaction. Combined with my project, with my subject, it is necessary to summarize the current research status of user experience. User experience has many scientific theories, models, and mere products. As shown in the chart, take qualitative analysis and exploration as an example. A lot of enterprise products are listed here, such as Tailbook, which can conduct stakeholder interviewers, user interviews, problem evaluation, classification, and summary. And summary manage research results, etc. Then I summarize the current research status of interaction design, which is also my job. The third part is the design goals. Product positioning is an interactive design with a good user experience. Take the HEART user experience model as an example. Establish a stroke rehabilitation product user experience model and its evaluation system. I will use interaction design theory, user experience tools, and psychological methods to research and analyze users and integrate the functions of multiple products so that it can meet the rehabilitation needs of two patients at the same time. The fourth part is the experience design process. This is my research strategy and execution plan. My work will be carried out around this process. Below are some of the work I have been doing. First, I researched the market. I researched the 3 listed medical companies. Their products cannot meet the rehabilitation needs of multiple people at the same time, and they have not established a specific and effective user experience model. Then I got a lot of professional advice and feedback from the chief physician, nurse, and head of psychology. I also researched user scenarios, mainly sports rehabilitation scenarios. Here, I contacted patients and briefly chatted with them. They told me some urgent needs. Next, the user are classified through different classification methods, and the middle-aged and elderly people are taken as an example to analyze the target users. Here is a summary of the characteristics of middle-aged and elderly users, such as physical fitness guidelines, hoping for very safe services, decreased understanding ability, hope to communicate with people instead of machines. Here is also a summary of the development directions of elderly users, such as integrating various resources and provide family-style rehabilitation and elderly care services. Then I analyzed the physical and psychological characteristics of middle-aged and elderly people and found the following features, such as decreased vision, decreased tactile sensitivity, decreased short-term memory, etc. According to the previous analysis, I guess 3 principles. Simplicity, kindness, companionship. When designing, we can use easy to understand graphics. Clear voice promotes simple operating procedures, etc. After research, I determined the market positioning of the product. This is medical equipment used in rural areas based on national policy. It can be introduced from hospitals, communities, rural clients to create different services at the same time. It assumes social responsibility and solves people's livelihood problem. This is the stock rehabilitation process and the basic framework of interaction design. According to the actual situation of the patient, some process may be repeated, and some process may be not needed. In order to deeply understand the professional knowledge of medicine, I spent 4 months studying 5 courses relating to stroke rehabilitation and got the content of the next few pages. For example, this chart shows all the terms used by doctors to evaluate patient rehabilitation. This is a huge database. Take the brainstorm assessment item as an example. There are 46 small items in this item alone. Please see the next page. Like this. There will be many evaluation methods for each item here. Next, I studied the specific evaluation method. There are 3 main types of evaluation methods. Qualitative evaluation, semi-quantitative evaluation, quantitative evaluation. Qualitative evaluation relies on doctor's eye observation. Semi-quantitative quantitative evaluation is usually divided into several levels, and quantitative evaluation will use specific values. This is a qualitative assessment method, which is divided into 2 categories, scales and experiment. We can see that the amount of data is also very large. Take the mean scales marked in the pictures. As an example, let's take a look at what it looks like. As like this. This is a form the doctor records by observing the status of patient in completing the task. This is a qualitative assessment. For example, observe the person's pain degree, observe whether the person can complete the task of drinking water. First of all, the balance test system is a quantitative method. It basic principle is to analyze people's working posture. It uses prior signals, computers, and dedicated data and analysis software. First of all, collect professional medical human body data and normal people's working posture data, just like those in the report. Then use parameters to analyze get the patient's working posture data, compare it with the working posture data of normal people, and then perform medical evaluation. Part of my medical research is shown here.
C'è un altro morto, pa?
After a lot of research work, I tried to establish a user experience model. I call it SFR user experience model, which is specially used for stroke rehabilitation equipment. It includes 3 contents: safety, full function, and respected. They contain a lot of content. This model is not yet mature. Then I made an index evaluation system, which can be used to evaluate and self-check final product. Take the data self-check item as an example. This is a detailed data self-check list, which is very ability and can be used by an ordinary college student. The previous content is all the research I have done, and here is the content that I need to continue to study afterwards. Like this. Finally, please allow me to introduce my team. My tutor, Professor En Jianjun, is a very rational person, knowledgeable and experienced. My partner, Li Yuankun, she is a very hardworking girl, positive and optimistic. Thank them for their contribution to this speech. Thank you, everyone. That's all for my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. It's very
Thank you so
clear.
much.
Yeah. I think we met Professor Ran in Italy.
When we say the Professor Ren?
Yeah, Professor Ren.
Yeah, probably.
Last year, maybe last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah, on December 2020.
Yeah.
I know.
That time. Good remember.
Okay, it was a wonderful morning, really precious. So I hope we can meet each other in person as soon as possible. With Carlo, we are planning to visit Italy as soon as possible, according to the pandemic and other problems. So, there are any questions from the audience? You want to say something, Carlo, or we can close?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I think we don't have time to do a question.
Okay.
But I think this is the first meeting. We can organize many others meetings, I think, in the future.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, have a nice day.
Thank you, Manuel. Thank you.